So the last couple of videos have been about this 2011 13-inch MacBook Air, and the story behind this is my boss gave it to me for free and the keyboard and trackpad did not work. And in the last video we replaced the top case, fixing that issue, and then I promised an SSD installation video, and that's what this is now. So the reason it's going up a bit late is because I've been really busy today. In fact, I wasn't even planning on making a video today. I was going to make a video and probably have it uploaded tomorrow or Friday. But I figured this was a good time to make this video, and so that's why I'm doing it. So you'll notice I have two drives plugged into it right now. The one on the right-hand side is a OWC Envoy, I believe, and that is the SSD my boss gave to me, and it has company data on it, so they wanted me to image it before I erase it, and I am imaging it to the 512 over there that came from one of the MacBook Pros. And the reason you can see it is in an OS right now, and I am booting off of the SD card. You can see that's not a 256, I wish. It's a 64 gig SD card, and it's actually surprisingly fast. But what I'm going to do is, once it's done imaging, well, it's done imaging, but it's doing a verification, a checksum of it right now, as far as I know. And once that's done, I'm going to erase that and then use the DD command to copy the SD card over to it, and then I'm going to install it. Well, actually, flip the order of that. I need to install it before I do that. Anyway, you're going to see that all in the video, so yeah, let's do that. So this probably isn't the best angle for you, I'm not sure, but it gives you a nice view of my desk. So what I'm going to do is, before taking apart the MacBook Air, actually let me find a safe place to put this. Right there on my pillow, should work. I'm going to be taking the 256 gig SSD out of this enclosure. So let's set it here and grab the appropriate bits out of my iFixit toolkit. Give me 1 sec to do that. Looks like a T8. Nah, that's a T6. I should have known these products all use T6. And a lot of older Macs do. Anyway, yeah, that's great actually. Let's move that over there. I mean, you guys probably, it's way too small to see what I'm doing, but there's that screw and that screw, and there's the SSD. So yeah, let's take a look at this here. So it's just looks to be MSATA to USB 3 enclosure adapter thing. And yeah, we just pop the SSD out like that, and there we go. SSD is out. So let's go ahead and put the enclosure back together quickly, and then I will go on to the MacBook Air, which is just a matter of 11 screws, I think, for that. So as I just bumble around with this, so I'll be giving the enclosure back to them as well, which, I mean, literally, this is the only MSATA, or whatever interface that is, SSD I've ever owned or will own for a while. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and grab the MacBook and have it already sitting face down. That machine is turned off as well. I mean, obviously I wouldn't replace the SSD in sleep mode. Well, I mean, I don't think you can do that either. I freaked out for a minute because my T5 is missing for some reason, but I remembered this uses pentagonal or pentalobe or whatever the heck this is called. Pentalobe 5. I think pentalobe is the correct term, but I may be wrong on that. So if we just unscrew these, and the machine is quite wobbly. That's not how I remember it being when I was working on it, but I'm not sure. Anyway, fun story behind this is I was working yesterday, and they gave me everything yesterday, but I was working yesterday, and I tried to install a bunch of apps before work that I would need, and like 75% of them said I needed to be 10.8.5 or higher. So 10 minutes before I left, I started upgrading it to Sierra from Lion. And yeah, so halfway, well, really the whole workday it was updating. And that is a T6. Tell me that's not a T5, because that would be very bad, considering I don't have one right now. I think that's a T5. No. Well, yes, that is a T5, but my T6 fits just barely. So I'm gonna avoid stripping that and pop the SSD in, like so. And that just presses in there and sits like that. And now this has a 256 gig SATA SSD. Sorry for my head cutting into the shot there, but I really need to see what's going on here, considering I don't have the right screwdriver, or at least the bit. I'm actually kind of concerned because I don't know where the bit is, and it should be in the kit. But I think I have another laying around, so let me just position that screw. There we go, got it. That was more difficult than it needed to be. And let me put that right where it belongs so I don't lose that either. Because if I lost my T6, that would be really bad. Because I use the T6 a lot. I'd say the T6 is used more than even the Philips bits in that kit. Because of the Mac work I do and the Macs of the era that I work on. Pretty much I'll use Philips or T6. In fact, a great example that I'll bring up now is the 2008 MacBook Pro, 2006 through 2008 MacBook Pro, that pre-unibody design. Those use a lot of T6 screws. And the reason I bring that up is because I'm getting a bunch of them from my boss. Maybe even tomorrow. Sorry for hitting the tripod there. So just a little thing for those of you who have made it this far in the video. I'm getting 3 or 4, or well, I don't really know the exact number, pre-unibody MacBook Pros, which I've told the story of mine many times on the channel, but I'll say it again while I'm finishing up here. I used to have one, and I got it in early 2015. Yes, early 2015. And what the heck did I just hit? That sounded good, or bad. Why did I say good? That was stupid. Anyway, that whole thing aside, that just happened. I don't know what that was. I got one in early 2015, sorry. And it died from the video card. The video, like the X800, or, oh geez, I cannot talk in this video. Wow. The video card, the 8600 MGT in that, died. And so I reflowed it with the heat gun, and it worked. And then 3 days later, it died again. And this continues 4 times. And yes, I fixed it 4 times. So, all that aside, that's the story of that. And they really do hold a place in my heart, because they are both beautiful machines, and I have a really interesting story about mine. Anyway, let's go ahead and fire this up. That's always a good sign. And it should just boot right up into the OS on the SD card, because as far as I know, there's no OS on that SSD they gave me.
I just hit my elbow on the bed, because that's kind of how I'm sitting right now. But you can kind of get an idea of how fast it is based on the boot times. And once again, this is off the SD card. Anyway, I want to, actually I'll save that for the end of the video. I want to go over my thoughts on the whole situation with this laptop, because they are very good. I am very happy with it. But I'll go more in depth into that at the end of the video.
As we wait for this to boot up. In fact, I don't know. You guys can see just fine from here. I was going to lower the tripod to make room for, well, so you can see the screen and what I'm doing better. But I realized I actually have to cut some of that out because it does contain information that I don't want online, or that really I'm not allowed to put online. So anyway, all that aside, I'm going to cut here for a sec and get all that sorted out. So I just renamed the SSD new SSD right now. I didn't erase it so we can save that for the video. And let me make sure my laptop is pointed at a good angle. So we're going to go into disk utility here. Automatically launches. And you can see we have Apple SD card reader, that's the SD card, and Apple SSD. Called it new SSD because that's what it is. It's a 256. And so I'm going to erase it and call it Macintosh SSD. And let's hope I did everything right. And that's normal. Macintosh SSD. I'm usually a lot better at typing than that, but I just I'm not actually sure why I type that slowly. You can probably hear my neighbor's dog barking outside. That animal needs to, that's a really mean thing to say. Yeah, it's ruined more videos than I can count. So I'm gonna move this aside, and sorry for me cutting across the shot. You can kind of see I'm watching one of It's My Natural Colors videos there. But I am going to bring up the thing that was talking about, I don't think I showed it yet, but I'm going to use the dd command. So I think if we go to carboncopycloner.com, because I'm too lazy to go into my archive and fish through all the applications, Carbon Copy Cloner, and it'll just give me a 30-day license on this, which is fine. Yeah, fun fact, if you don't copy it to your applications folder, when the trial runs out, you can just keep renewing it. Not that I've done that, I just kind of figured that out one day, and I mean, I always like being honest about things like that, so I'll just move it to the applications folder. And it's a bit slow, of course, because it's an SD card. I don't check. So yeah, it just does that. Anyway, now that we're here, let's select Macintosh SD, Macintosh SSD, and clone. And just type in my password. And it will begin cloning. So the MacBook just finished cloning, and now I'm going to restart it to boot into the SSD. So I'm going to go ahead and do a complete shutdown of the machine and remove the SD card, then boot into macOS from the SSD, from the internal drive. So if we go ahead and pull the boot device and hit the power button, so you can kind of get an idea of the boot times, and you can see it connects right up to my servers. If you want to know how I did that, you can check out my Xserve and Mac Pro server video. So anyway, just some final thoughts on this machine. Let's go ahead and take a look at these specs here. It is, if you can see that even, it's a dual-core 1.8 i7 with 4 gigs of RAM and integrated graphics. When I look for a new laptop, I want a quad-core at least I want to be able to put 16 to 32 gigs of RAM, and I want dedicated video, because I think that's what really makes a good machine. But let me rephrase that. I thought that was what made a really good machine, but I look at this machine and it's pretty low specification-wise. That's the same processor, like the clock speed and core count as my G5, and that thing is kind of going at this point. But anyway, getting back to the point, this machine has done really well in the last week or so I've been using it. And even booting off of an SD card, it's been super fast, super powerful. I use about 2.5 gigs of RAM average on this machine, and really I'm just super happy with it. This is the first time I've booted up with the SSD, and I mean, I haven't really had a chance to play around with it yet, but like I said, even with that SD card, it is super fast, and I mean, I'm very happy with it, and I'm glad this is going to be my new laptop. I mean, eventually I'm going to be upgrading to something like a Blade 14, but until then, I'm happy that this is the machine that I'm going to be using. So I was editing, and I realized I forgot to record an outro clip. So anyway, with that said, I think that's going to be it. So thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.